Welcome back to Graps and Yaps. This is the go-to podcast for everything pro wrestling. We're going to recap what's happened inside and outside of the ring from the last week. And look, man, whether you're a lifelong fan like us or you're just a victim of the wrestling algorithm, we thank you for being here and we hope you enjoy. We are 2 weeks away from WrestleMania. WrestleMania Vegas, WrestleMania 42. So you know we have to ramp it up a little bit. There's a lot to get into. We are going to get into our WrestleMania tier list as well, which has been making a little bit of noise, in my opinion, on not in our friend group, but like on our Instagram page. And before we do all that, let me introduce my tag partner, my other half, TF, Tony Freed. How are you, brother?
Feel fresh. I am great. We're just saying, before we started recording, we're just 2 weeks away from WrestleMania now. So peak mark season for all of us. And, with that, it's not just us two this week on the podcast. We've got a friend that's jumped on here. So good to see you, Nick Stav.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How we doing, boys? I'm looking forward to it.
Bro, the Greek nightmare, Nick Stav, joins us on Graps and Yaps. Honestly, it's like I thought of that nickname one day, and honestly, I'm just going to keep calling you the Greek nightmare.
That's it. When I was rocking the blonde. Nah, I'm looking forward to it. That's when I was rocking the blondes, mate.
Damn. Would you ever go back?
I was considering it like the last summer, but I'm like, it's just like the regrowth, and if I want to go out the hair again,
it's hard to maintain,
it's a process. It's so hard. I remember like I got introduced to using like purple shampoo and that, and then like my hair went like blue at one point, and then I was like, nah, I can't do this. It's not cut out for me.
I feel like there's like almost like a forfeit involved. Like I don't know if like Cody Rhodes like turns heel this year, you have to do it almost.
No, but I'll go jet black. I'll go jet black. Like he's
Jet Black. Oh, Jet Black.
Mate,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. All right. Well, look, we thank you for jumping on, bro. It was like I guess like our kind of relationship. We all met in Perth, Crown Jewel last year. So it's good to have you on the show. Good to be talking some graps rather. You are, probably one of the biggest Arsenal fans I know. So off the bat, I want to ask you a question. Obviously, Arsenal getting closer and closer to holding that Premier League trophy. But I want to ask you, if you could compare the Gunners to any wrestler, it doesn't have to be active, it can be any time, but just in terms of legacy, performance, what you know about them, who would that wrestler be and why?
Look, I love my Arsenal, but it's not be a shadow to the fact that we haven't won a trophy in a while. And we haven't won one of the big ones in a while. Yeah, Champions League, Premier League. I'll look at that as like the WWE or the World Heavyweight Championship, right? And there's one wrestler that hasn't had his hands on that just of yet. Sami Zayn. I think that's got to be the closest. Is that what you're thinking as well?
I was thinking Sami as well.
Yeah.
It has to be Sami, bro. Like, he gets so close, and every year just doesn't seem like it's on.
It's true as well, but I'll give another comparison. It's like, I feel like Arsenal fans and Arsenal as a club, they're kind of like hated on as well. Everyone kind of looks at them and points the finger and hates on them. We're like, Sami Zayn, I feel like it's like, doesn't get hate that he really deserves. To be honest, he's such a... Oh, no, like, people hate on him.
No,
Call him
yeah.
Sammy Hogan. Yeah. The guy hasn't won a world title. He called you like, are we serious? He's such an underrated, like, in-ring worker. I'm not saying his character in the last couple of years have they made him interesting. No, but we can't forget about Bloodline Sami Zayn. That guy was the most entertaining man on the card. People were pushing for him to win the Rumble that year instead of Cody to go to Roman to main it. Like that's how over Sami was at that point.
He was so involved in that, man.
Yeah, but I'd probably say Sami Zayn. I was thinking maybe like CM Punk pre this year because like he never got to the main event of WrestleMania. He's the World Heavyweight Champion now, but like maybe that's Arsenal in a year's time when we get our hands in the Premier League and Champions League this year. We're back to being CM Punk, BITW, best in the world.
Once we win the Prem, we're going to be Roman Reigns, Tribal Chief.
Yeah, that's it.
Hey, while we're talking about the top of the EPL ladder, let's talk about the bottom. It's been a tough year for myself as a West Ham fan, but who do you guys think will be going down? There is another team in London that we all hate that's in that drop zone or thereabouts at the moment. Is there any thoughts on who's going down this year?
Hey, it has to be Tottenham, right? It has to be Tottenham.
I pray to God.
Hopefully it's Tottenham.
It's looking like it will be, right? I mean, they're like 1 point out of the relegation zone or something like that?
Yeah, they're 1 point out, but West Ham are picking up results here and there. You drew to Man City not too long ago. Like
we found a little bit of form across all the competitions, so it's looking okay. But
a bit Fulham recently as well.
Yeah.
But the thing is, okay, hear me out. Yeah, the WWE and me, we've got a script writer. Yeah.
Let's go.
Arsenal, we beat City away. The point difference becomes too much for City. They start slipping away. Arsenal have some points up their sleeve. We're going to win the Premier League title. We play West Ham away, I think, in our third last match. Declan Rice, former Iron, gives away the ball, maybe.
We'll take a point.
Sells the game, gives a point to West Ham. Not only that, Arsenal get their revenge against Tottenham for selling the game against Man City 2 years ago, where Son missed a one-on-one that he never misses one-on-ones against, mind you.
Wow.
We give West Ham points. West Ham stay up, Tottenham go down, Arsenal win the league. Tell me that's not cinema. That's WrestleMania 40 night 2 main event.
That's the West Ham screw job. That's what that is, bro.
Yeah, that's a screw job. Yeah.
Ring the bell.
Need Decker's. Decker's going to provide for us there, please.
Come on, Deggy Jolloff, man. You know what you need to do. Finish the story, baby. But look, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, guys, we've got a lot to catch up on. There's a big week of wrestling. But before we get into the recap, let's talk about outside the ring news. And announced, I feel like it was yesterday morning or Tuesday morning, maybe. John Cena, the GOAT, is set to host WrestleMania 42. What are our thoughts? I'll start with you, Nick Stav. What were your thoughts? What do you think he's going to be doing? Are you excited for this?
To be honest, I probably wanted a little bit more time before I saw Cena on our screens.
Yeah,
I felt that way too.
And look, we know Cena. The guy is the most professional man in the world. I'm not talking about in professional wrestling. I'm talking about in the world. That guy is the ultimate professional. There's not a chance he's ever wrestling again. Like, I 100% believe his word when he says that. But look, he's also the ultimate professional in being the man for WWE. Like, if WWE called him and go, hey, we need you to host WrestleMania, we need to sell as many tickets as we can, he'll do it. You know? And it's not like him being on the screen is going to ruin it or ruin the legacy of him retiring. It's not. You know, the guy's great like that, and he wouldn't sign up to anything that would do that. But I just would have preferred a bit more time. Will we get a Gunther interaction? I would love it. It doesn't have to be a match. Little stare down. Gunther interrupts Cena whilst he's on the mic, whilst he's heading down to the ring to face Seth Rollins. I would like it. But usually the host doesn't have that much impact on Mania. Other than like The Rock in WrestleMania 27, I think.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
you
think of previous hosts. Like, I remember 33, the New Day was the host, and they did a fair bit.
Yeah.
I think 35 was like Alexa Bliss was the host. Or was it Alexa Bliss
Hogan.
and like see, like that. I didn't really get that one.
Was it The Miz in 39? Was it? And then Shane McMahon
right.
did his quads as well.
And Snoop.
Oh
Yeah,
my god,
Snoop,
yeah. When Snoop caught an audible and hit the people's elbow.
What a pro.
Dude, yeah. What a pro. True. And that's why he's in the Hall of Fame. But yeah, the John Cena of it all, I'm with you. Like, I was like, this feels too early. Like, we've just seen him retire. Like, and yeah, it's not going to be a bad thing. I don't see a way in this turns out to be like, what a shit decision. Like, why have they done this? I mean, it'll be fine, but like, it just feels a little bit weird. Tony Free, you the same?
Yeah, 100% too soon. And I promised I would say this. Flick last year when the retirement tour was happening, she was said, I bet he's back around WrestleMania time. So when the news hit yesterday or whatever day it was, the day before, she said, make sure you say that on the podcast this week that John Cena's back, just like I said. So Flick, hats off to you. You were right. But yeah, it just seems,
Flick.
you know, like it's been, 4 months since he retired? Like, give it some air.
Like
so
that.
yeah, come back for Saudi Mania. Just stay away from this year's one. I think, a little bit too soon.
Damn.
I did like the little video package to see, how different his hair's looking right now. It looks very
His hair's looking crazy.
fake. Yeah. I don't know what movie he's filming at the moment, but it looks wild.
Oh, can we also talk about this? Because we didn't talk about this last week, Tony Free, but I know, Nick Stav, you got stuff to say about this. That clip of John Cena and Harry Daniels, the guy singing at him at the cafe. We forgot to talk about this last week.
Oh, man.
Dude, I watched that so
poor
many
dude.
times. It was like, it is one of the funniest videos I've ever seen. And like, obviously, this guy has no idea that John Cena is like Winter
He got heel John
Soldier,
Cena.
like, he's like, yeah, legit. Like, but he's just like that. Like, bro, and just what he was saying, him being like,
I'm not buying
like
it
to
so
sing now and for what purpose? Oh my, like,
I think it's gonna be the funniest videos I've seen in the last 12 months. Because like you said, he's like, if you don't know John Cena, you know that guy, like you said, he's the ultimate professional. So once you cross his line, like, he'll give you, like, he's respectful, but he'll like put you in line. Like, you've seen that clip of him, Modine. He like shopping.
Oh
in
my
the UK.
god! Yeah.
Yeah. How about you ask first? You know?
Dude, people don't know. They don't know, man. They see him in the movies and it's like, this guy's so funny, but
I think the funniest part of that clip is that like the guy just starts singing and Cena just sits there for like 2 seconds and you see him just thinking like, what do I say? He then stands up and then goes, how about we start with a hello? Look, I'm not buying what you're selling.
Yeah, that was the oh my god. Thanks. I'm not buying what you're selling, pal.
And he always wears. Have you noticed he always wears that respect hat?
Yeah,
he always wears it out. Like even
he's
when
selling that
doing
merch.
gym sessions.
Hey, well, you know what it is? That was that was the tell. He said that guy should have read the hat first and spread respect, and then gone. Actually, maybe not today. I'm glad we got that out of the way, man. I was thinking about it after we recorded last week's episode. I was like, I can't believe we didn't speak about this, but I'm glad we got it out of the way now. So let's do the recap of the last week. And 2 weeks away from WrestleMania. It was a big Monday Night Raw, obviously, in New York City, Madison Square Garden. It's always going to be a hot crowd, and I feel like this week delivered as well. So let's start with the start of Raw, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes coming out, doing his usual stick, what do you want to talk about? And then getting interrupted by this year's Hall of Fame class member, Stephanie McMahon. Now, what I took away from this is that like, this was Stephanie kind of being like, lock the hell in. This ain't the same. She talks about things in the past. There's even allusions to Dusty. There's allusions to Vince as well. By the end of this segment, I was sports entertained. I liked it. But I'm curious to know what you guys think as well. Nick, what were your thoughts on this opening segment?
I agree with you. I thought it was kind of what this feud needed. I think, not that Randy turning heel was the bad decision. You could have gone either way. But I felt like we didn't get enough out of that Randy promo probably about 2 weeks ago. And then we got the brawl on SmackDown. It's like, we know there's history between Randy, but I feel like it still kind of needs to be addressed on the mic. Randy's not essentially that type of heel. But I love the way that Stephanie McMahon not alluded to Cody turning heel, but kind of said, this Randy isn't a heel, any other heel. That Cena heel last year, that was a turn. That was just a turning character. He was desperate to get number 17. With this Randy heel and any Randy Orton heel, he's just sadistic. He's crazy. You can't contain that man. And coming from Stephanie McMahon as well, an underrated heel back in her day as well.
Absolutely.
So she knows it, right? And it added a little bit to that feud. Now, if we go into that main event, do you get a double turn? I don't think you do, but it plants the seed in your mind, right? And that's what you need going into a WrestleMania main event. You need to say a way a storyline can go this A, B, or C. It's on the table, but it's just when Cody Rhodes will turn heel one day. It's just when, and they got to do it at the right time. I probably would have preferred if they went in both as faces, and you kind of had this feud build up. Well, you're alluding to it, like you had Stephanie McMahon speaking to Cody Rhodes and saying it. Randy Orton's like looking at the title, and then whoever they turn heel on the night, that's on that, but that's what gets us to that end goal. I just feel like we haven't got enough from heel Randy Orton yet, and we are 2 weeks away from Mania. But I did like that segment.
Damn. I saw a yarn about the double turn and how that kind of opened the door to that. Tony Free, do you reckon we're getting a double turn, or do you reckon it's just, we're G'ing ourselves up for no reason?
I don't know. I feel like I've been kind of waiting for that heel turn from Cody for 18 months now, and I just feel like the more I think...
months, a whole year?
I think it's been like that. It's been a while. Like, I think, maybe at least 12 anyway. But it just seems like in my mind, the closer we get to Cody being a heel, the reality is it's just further away from happening. I don't know. Like, we find new ways for Cody to get the championship back and defend the title for months on end, as he did towards the end of last year when we thought he shouldn't have had it. I don't know. I don't have confidence in WWE creative pulling the right trigger at the moment. So I'd like to say yes, he is turning heel soon, but I really have no confidence in it. And that's maybe a good thing in terms of surprises happening along the way, like what's going to happen at WrestleMania. I don't see Randy Orton being a heel post WrestleMania, which I think might be the good part of all this in terms of where does that leave Cody moving forward. So a little bit of doubt, not confident, but I don't know. I'm keen for the ride at the moment. Let's see.
I still think that I don't even think that Randy's a heel right now. Like he's still getting huge pops. I mean, we didn't speak about what happened on SmackDown, where he hits Jelly Roll with the RKO and he got cheered. The crowd wanted him to do it again. They were like, one more time. Like he's not getting like I guess like on paper, yeah, he's a heel, but like you just go to a crowd and you watch an episode of SmackDown, you hear the live crowd, dude. He's getting away, and the one who's getting boos, unfortunately, is Cody Rhodes. So that's why I'm still not giving up on the double turn. The other thing here is that, and Stephanie also alluded to it, was that Randy's still on the phone to someone. Like he's still talking to someone. I thought we were going to get the reveal last week because Randy said, "Yeah, I'll see you soon." We still don't know who he's talking to. And there's been a lot of like names thrown out on the internet. Nick, give it to us. Give it to us straight, brother. Who the hell is he on that damn phone to?
Okay. Delusional me, it's The Rock.
Let's go.
Delusional me, yeah? because that Cody Rock feud, it's still on the table. Like that is just the feud that we want to the stepping stone to get in Rock versus Roman. That needs to be addressed, right? I feel like it's never going to be addressed. So the delusional in me, I'd love it to be The Rock, the final boss. But I think it's going to be Kevin Owens. I think it just only makes sense because Kevin Owens and Randy were on the same side and then they clashed and they were supposed to face at Mania last year and KO got the injury. But it was all kind of off the back of that Cody feud, which was a great feud, by the way. And Kevin Owens kind of that whole time was saying to Randy, you don't know what you're getting yourself into with Cody. He's using you. You're literally like his bodyguard, just taking hits for him and he's a WWE champion. And I feel like Randy's kind of like, now, I see what you're cooking. I see what you were saying all that time along. So I feel like it's got to be Kevin Owens. I don't know. It can't be Randy Orton's dad. It can't be Cowboy Bob Orton. But Ted DiBiase Jr., hey, he just came off that case, so you don't know. But I think the most logical answer has got to be KO.
Follow-up question to that, though, right? Like, because that does make sense. It's the most logical person, given the history and like you just explained it. But like, does that mean we're getting like a Randy Orton KO stable? Like, what's the situation? Is it a two-man power trip? Like, how like what happens after WrestleMania if that's the case?
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get like a faction out of it. I think they're kind of just finding something to build up the hype for Mania. I think we'll just get a segment on SmackDown where KO comes out, and then whether it's three of them or it's just KO and Randy going back and forth, saying what they feel and things like that. But if it is someone bigger than KO, like it is The Rock, I'm just throwing it out there, they'll save that for Mania. So you'll kind of know how big the person is if they use them now, just to build up to Mania. But if you see them at Mania, then you go, okay, there's either a faction or a proper storyline going from here.
Tony Free, your thoughts?
I think that both names that we threw up a couple of weeks ago, The Rock and Kevin Owens, I think Kevin Owens, if it is to be him that's revealed here as the guy that Randy's been talking to, I would not mind at all if they save that for Mania. I don't think I want to see KO just return on a SmackDown, a few weeks leading into WrestleMania. I think at this point, we're 2 SmackDowns away, I think. 2 or 3 SmackDowns away from WrestleMania. Let's just save it for WrestleMania weekend. It's too close. The pop that arena will have when Kevin Owens' music hits at WrestleMania for the first time in over a year will be absolutely insane. So I think save that return for Mania. But yeah, I do, in terms of The Rock, like the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. And as Nick just said, like he laid it out perfectly there, like the Cody feud, how it can lead to Roman, things like that. It makes absolutely perfect sense for it to be The Rock. And I know a lot of people wouldn't be happy if it was The Rock after what happened last year, but I will be sports entertained if I do hear his music hit. So
yeah,
either of those two, great candidates to be the guy that Randy's talking to.
If I'm Cody Rhodes, right, and there's all this hullabaloo about Randy's on the phone to someone, if I'm Cody Rhodes, I'm getting backup. like, I need to find someone else. You know, I need to even the odds a little bit. And I was just putting my mind to like who it would be. And it kind of, this is a thought. Actually, it wasn't even my thought. I won't even take credit for it. But Dave Hoey, who was also with us in Perth, he was saying, what if Randy is on the phone to Goldust, to Dustin Rhodes, Cody's brother? and you know, when he said that, I was like, wait a second. Because that would be a swerve, but it would also, you could also, you know, family still involved. Like, I thought about it. I was like, maybe it's that. But if Cody does need backup, Goldust would be the one. Now, here's the kicker though, because I looked it up. I said, is he still under contract? Yeah, he's signed for like at least 5 more years. So I said, never mind. But it was nice to think about for a little bit. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Hey, speaking of which, spoiler alert: Chris Jericho returning AEW today. So he won't be at Mania. That's for sure.
You know what? That's fine. So, okay, we can rule like Chris Jericho being on the phone to Randy Orton.
Yeah.
He won't be in WWE this year, so just go with that now. So stop waiting for him. He's not coming.
Yeah, I'll just bring back Chris Jericho when Gunther needs another person to retire. Just bang, squash him and bounce.
Hey, man, we'll get to Gunther a little bit later on, but let's move on to what I think is probably... It could be like the most hype match for WrestleMania, and it doesn't involve a title. Brock and Oba. It's only free. Let's talk about it.
Oh, only one word can describe this, and that is meat. Like, just the sight of these two men just locking eyes with each other. They don't have to say a single word. That's the best part about all this. It just sells itself. It's it has that factor that you just can't describe. Like, it's just... as soon as like these two guys enter the arena, it just straight away crowd is just mesmerized. The chanting for Oba is like, it is one of those moments we're going to remember like years later when we think, oh yeah, remember when Oba Femi was going one-on-one with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, and that's what, you know, made Oba Femi. It's that moment. We can kind of see it happening in real time, which I think is awesome. And you know, we had the Stephanie McMahon appearance earlier in the night. Now her husband's getting involved here, stopping these two from tearing each other to shreds. And it's been a great build up. Like I said, with not much dialogue at all, just having these two just looking at each other. Like we've had obviously the physical altercations where Oba's been pretty much, you know, 2-up on Brock Lesnar so far. It's been a really, really good way to put this together. I just can't wait. I'm hoping it's the very first match of the weekend because I'm like raring at the bit for this to happen.
Yeah, dude. Nick, what are your thoughts on the build so far for this match?
I agree with you. I think it's probably the best match that I'm looking forward to at Mania. And it's like I was thinking about it whilst watching Raw yesterday. I go, but Femi was on NXT 4 months ago, and he's getting a WrestleMania match against Brock Lesnar. And there's been, like you said, little dialogue. They then came face to face in the ring. I think that was probably the loudest and like most almost anticipated. You felt that crowd at MSG on Raw. But it's crazy to think that Obafemi was on NXT 4 months ago. He's this over with the main roster crowd. Not many people from NXT come straight over to the main roster and get that much love instantly. The future with Obafemi is sky high. There's been reports saying that Brock Lesnar wants to win at Mania, right? We've seen those.
Oh hell no!
You can't have Brock beat. You can't have Brock beat Oba.
Okay.
You can't. And
You don't think there's any chance?
You can't. Not
at all.
You can't, because Obafemi for me has to beat Brock Lesnar. It doesn't have to squash him. It's going to be like, you can't disrespect Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's the beast. But I would love Obafemi beat Brock Lesnar. Do you know what it's so crazy about Obafemi? I kind of looked at him and be like, okay, let's get him on a Gunther run. Get the IC strap on him. Make him undefeated for 1 to 2 years. Then drop the belt and then go to the world title. I look at Obafemi, I go, is he ready just to go straight into a world title picture? Like, that 100%. Is how ready I think Obafemi is. Like, someone from straight NXT to go into that scene. I don't think we've seen someone do that since, like, Finn Balor. Since coming up from the main roster and went straight for the Universal title. Like, that is how much they value Obafemi. And you look back just to the Rumble in Saudi 4 months ago. I think the best part about that Rumble was Obafemi going in that Rumble. He was eliminating person by person by person. And it got to that point with Brock, and they just didn't... It never felt like they got a proper face-off. It was like every time they got a face-off, someone was coming out or someone interfered. But now that you're actually getting these guys face to face on these Raw segments, you see, like you said, just meat on meat. But it's just more than that. You kind of feel like Obafemi is the next Brock Lesnar for the next 20 years. He doesn't even have to speak too much on the mic, and you're still captivated by what he's doing, just by the size and the intimidation of him. But I think he's still got a good promo in him, Obafemi, and a good story.
Brock Lesnar, you see, just I love how it's like become a thing on the internet or just like with wrestling fans, where like you can tell how much Brock likes a person by like how much he's selling or like what he's doing and, you know, whatever. And he is just like selling like a madman whenever there's like, you know, he's going over the top rope or that power bomb however long ago. He is killing it, bro. And look, I'm not ruling out a complete and utter like Obafemi win. I still think there is room for like a Brock Lesnar to win here, but 100%, I don't think that this will be the last time that they face each other. I think that this will be, you know, maybe we see this again at SummerSlam. Maybe we see this at, what is it, Clash in Italy? I don't know, whatever, like, you know, Money in the Bank or something like that. I think we get more than one match with these two, and that's why I think that's maybe why that thought of Obafemi losing is still kind of like lingering around, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think of that when it comes to, is it more than just a one-match feud? I just think Brock Lesnar just doesn't have too much more in the tank, to be honest, in terms of matches. Like, if they're saying he's going to retire at SummerSlam, then maybe not. But how good was that sell on the security guard where Obafemi just tossed him? That guy was like 20 meters in the air. I haven't seen him
up and then like turned around and then hit him with the 360. I'm like, dude, you didn't have to do all that.
I feel like someone was there to catch that guy. I have not seen someone take a sell outside the ring that high and fallen down, other than like Shane McMahon. But that was a sell.
Dude, it was so funny. Yeah, just the whole one movement. First of all, like him just like shoulder charging the two security guards. First of all, that was the first thing. Then that power bomb, like damn 360 power bomb, and then full shoulder checking general manager Adam Pearce. I was cracking up, but I'm so glad he did it. Like Tony Free, we were just talking about the 360 power bomb and just Obafemi just destroying those poor security guards, and then also it wasn't just that; it was Brock Lesnar leaving and then hitting that. I didn't even think this was planned. Just grabbed that one security guard, hit him with an F5, and then left. Nick, you mentioned Gunther earlier, and I mean, you know, Tony Free and I, the last few weeks, have been like, where the hell's Gunther? What has he been doing? But now, this week on Raw, we have found out what the career killer is doing at WrestleMania Vegas, and it looks like he's got his eyes set on Seth Rollins. Tony Free, I'm very intrigued to know your thoughts because I know you. We've been doing this podcast
very
a long
random
time.
That
what are your thoughts on this match happening in WrestleMania?
Very random that they put these two together. Gunther and Seth Rollins out of nowhere. I know where this is going. Paul Heyman has nobody to defend him right now. He needs somebody to help him out because Brock Lesnar's tied up with Obafemi. The Vision, they're tied up now with, you know, having the tag titles, which I'm sure we'll get into soon. But Paul Heyman needs protection. He knows that he can't run from Seth Rollins forever. And I think that he has deliberately recruited Gunther with a promise that he will give Gunther Brock Lesnar later in the year for the chance to end his career, and Brock Lesnar does not know anything about it. I think this is 100% where this is heading post-WrestleMania. Hey, Paul Heyman's a sneaky dude. So, I would not doubt that he's, you know, doing these deals backstage, wheeling and dealing behind people's backs to get something like this, to get some protection in the short term. And then, you know, we have this match between Gunther and Brock at likely SummerSlam in Minnesota later in the year. Brock's career done. I believe so. Yeah.
It's SummerSlam in Minnesota.
Yeah,
what the hell? What a random spot for SummerSlam. Nick, you looked intrigued. You look excited. What are your thoughts?
That is a mad theory. That is an awesome theory. Because that's like, I feel like WWE have lost that in the last kind of 6 months. That long-termish storytelling where it's like tying up ends for like 6 months, 12 months, where it feels like we've got into this WrestleMania card and they're just putting matches together. I guess against their own will, right? I didn't think really Seth Rollins and Gunther would have been their long-term plan, right? Mm-hmm. And when I saw Gunther come out and hit Seth Rollins with the sleeper, I was pretty shocked, and I was also like, I guess Seth was probably supposed to go after Bron Breakker, and then he's been cut out of the card because of injury, and then Gunther was supposed to go after Ray's, what we thought, and then he then picked up an injury, and then they've put them together, I thought. But if you put a storyline around it like you've just put then, that is an S-tier story. Because you feel like if Brock is going to retire, you've got to have Gunther retire him. Everyone has been screaming out that match for like the last 4 years. Brock Lesnar and Gunther. That is your S-tier match. And to actually give a great storyline behind it like that, I'm all for it. If Triple H doesn't do that now, I'm going to be so disappointed.
Yeah,
it has to make sense.
Planted to see it, unfortunately, Tony Freezer. Now, if it doesn't happen, we're going to riot. Have they faced off before? Like, have they had a one-on-one match before? Ooh. I can't remember. I don't think I saw. No, Gunther and Seth.
I think it was like NXT UK days.
Early.
Was it when Seth was Universal Champion? I might.
Oh, so not even. Then. Yeah, so like what? Like not even the last 5 years.
No, because when Gunther was World Heavyweight, no, he didn't.
It was Walter.
So when Gunther was still fat.
Yeah. It was. I think it was Walter then. Yeah.
Oh no, it wasn't even Gunther. It was Walter.
It wasn't even Gunther.
Right.
Yeah. So because when Seth was World Heavyweight, Gunther was IC champion. So
okay. Yeah. Look, I on paper, and I know Seth Rollins. And WrestleMania, he could, I know Shawn Michaels has that moniker unlocked, but low key, Seth Rollins is like Mr. WrestleMania as well. And you put him in a match against someone like Gunther, the ring general, the career killer, that could be a low key 5-star match. I mean, I wonder if they add any stipulations to it later on. If we get Bron Breakker like a return at WrestleMania, like it's wide open now. I'm excited for this. I saw people on the internet. And again, people on the internet, man, they're a little bit tapped in. They were filthy about this. I'm like, what about this can you be mad at? Like, how are you mad at like two of the best wrestlers in the company having a match? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
They're two insane wrestlers. Like Seth Rollins, like you said, he's very underrated when it comes to his WrestleMania catalog. Look at last year's WrestleMania. That match was by far and away the best match on the card. I still look at that match. I think it's just so underrated in general of everything around it, like the actual in-ring pro wrestling and the storyline going into it and the storyline coming out of it. It was just sad.
Hey, I just
falling apart with the injuries.
Oh man, yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit.
But yeah, no, any match with Gunther, you're gonna get a 5-star, and you're getting Seth Rollins in there. Like that guy is probably. Could be the best.
I just did some research on this Gunther and Seth Rollins
unless I'm forgetting
history.
Someone.
I can only find something going back to 2023. There was Seth Rollins and the Street Profits defeating Imperium with Kurt Angle as the special guest referee on Raw in January 2023. That was the Raw is 30 episode. We had the next meeting between them was in the Royal Rumble. They had a bit of a moment there, and then they just had a dark match. Later that year for the World Heavyweight Championship. So we haven't seen really these two guys one-on-one singles action. So I guess good marquee matchup to have. But I think as I'm kind of spitballing and going to Penn Island here, I want to see the storyline after this. That's what I'm most intrigued about.
Yeah, this will be nice, especially 2 weeks out. It's just a nice match to have. But yeah, you're right. The aftermath, the fallout, that's where the substance is. So I'm excited to see this. And also, I was just then, I was just thinking about his last few WrestleMania matches. You could date back to WrestleMania 30, maybe even 36, which I think that was Thunderdome against Kevin Owens. Decent match. 37 against Cesaro. Great match. 38, Cody Rhodes. Great match. 39, Logan Paul. Great match. 40, double duty, in that tag match, and then dropping the belt to Drew McIntyre. Man, Seth Rollins might be making a play for becoming the new Mr. WrestleMania. So yeah, interested to see if your theory works out. Tony Free. Let's talk about the other championship match that we haven't gotten to just yet. CM Punk and Roman Reigns. All right, this is probably, would you call it round 5, round 4? I don't even know where we're at. I don't even know if you call it a round, really.
I mean, these two guys have just
Tony
gotten to the point
let's
now
talk
where they're just
about
going to beat the living shit out of each
segment on
other.
Monday Night Raw.
And with 2 weeks to go now, like I think we're getting to the point where it needs to be like that. These guys need to be like really like banging for blood at the moment. It's turned from a war of words into just fighting now. So I think it's great that we've actually gotten there, because I think we maybe run out of things to say on the mic. Hey, there was probably a few little things about Larry that Roman Reigns could have mentioned, but we never got there. I don't think we still got time to get there, but I think at this point it's just like just going for it now. Just fights, brawls wherever they can. These guys need to find each other backstage, need to find each other in the car parks, and just let them go hammer and tong. This is a bad blood feud. There's a lot of history here. This goes back a very long time. This goes back to that Colt Cabana podcast that CM Punk jumped on in 2014. This is how far back that goes. So there's a lot of there's a mix here between, shoot and kayfabe, and they've brought that up really well the last couple of weeks. So now we're just at that point where these two guys just have to get their hands on each other, and we still have the Usos at play here. They didn't get involved here last night. I'm still intrigued as to what happens with them, because last week we just had, Jey Uso calling the shots, almost being the tribal chief in that instance last week. Where do we go now with the Usos and Roman Reigns? Now, especially that the Usos don't have the tag titles, I think is a very interesting play as to, what the dynamics will be going forward for the OG bloodline, I guess we'll call them. But yeah, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, it's heating up, thankfully, because I think, I was getting a little bit tired of the promos and the, you're old, or, just the shit like that. Like, I'm glad we're getting to the point where they just want to beat the shit out of each other.
I don't think, obviously we're 2 weeks away, I don't think we're getting 2 more weeks of brawling. I feel like there's still more to say between the two. I know, despite it being, a 10-year plus rivalry in the making. Nick, are you waiting on anything in particular? Are you happy with where it's at? What are you waiting for? Or do you reckon they've done it perfectly so far?
I wouldn't say perfectly. Like, I agree with Tony.
Okay.
Like, that promo a couple weeks ago where he ended with "You're old," it was...
It felt like he wanted to say something else. That's been my thing. Did you think the same? Like, he was gonna say something else, but like, I'm just gonna be safe here.
Yeah, it was because everyone was like, "Oh, does he bring up Larry's dog?" After Punk brought up, Roman's dad. Like, I thought those two promos back to back, it kind of you couldn't go back with "You're old." After saying what Punk had said, I feel like you're right. There would have had to been something in the arsenal for them to use. I just think that first promo between them was just so fire, and they probably used a lot of their cards that they didn't actually need to use all in that first promo. Like, them bringing up the Colt Cabana podcast from 10 years ago was a must thing they needed to do during this feud, because that's... At the end of the day, Roman Reigns was booed as the big dog. You could say, not that he was a great wrestler and his storyline was justified at that time, but a lot of the hate came from those fans off the back of what CM Punk said. So that had to be addressed. Did it have to be addressed that early into this feud? I didn't think it needed to. I think they should have saved that card for about this point, where you needed it just to feud, just to pick up again, to push it to Mania, because I feel like they used all their cards at the start, and they've gotten to this point now where it's like, oh, you're old. Oh, you're a part-timer. Yeah, but we've heard this part-timer nonsense.
Yeah,
like,
we've heard this
every
already,
feud.
man.
For like so long now, It was good that he tied it back to AJ Lee. That had to be said, because she's been a part-timer like him. That had to be said. But it felt like they had to go back off with the Larry thing. If Punk's going to bring up his dead dad, they had to go back off the Larry thing. Yeah. I would even love them, and I was going to say Roman's too much of a WWE guy to do it, but pick at stuff at him in his AEW career. You don't have to say it specifically, but say... Didn't they make another show for you back there because they couldn't handle you backstage? And
they haven't touched it yet.
They haven't touched things like that. and just even subtle things to the press conferences, and say like, you know, when Roman's been bringing up the stuff about, oh yeah, they had to go through me before they brought you back here because they didn't know if they could keep you under control. Say things like, well, the guy that was in charge there, he couldn't keep you under control, so call him Paul Levesque. They don't have to go Triple H, call him Paul and go, we had a chat about you and they wanted me to keep you in place. Just things, just subtle references, you know. I loved last year when Cena even had that mad comment to Cody Rhodes about like, I make empires for billionaires, all you do is play with their kids' money. Didn't have to say Tony Khan, didn't have to say AEW. Mad reference though. And just things like that gets the mark in me going crazy. I think there's still a couple of those cards left on the table, but the actual anger of the feud, they use that with the podcast in that first promo, and maybe go back into it.
Yeah. Look, I will be hitting, if this does play out, I'll be hitting the Rock goosebumps gimmick, slapping my arm. If Roman goes, he just goes, oh, look at, I got something for you. Just shows the brawl out footage like on the screen. Like they would never do it, but it would be so funny and just so like, all right, sweet, we're here now. You know, but that first promo, I was kind of like, okay, Roman's winning here. 2 weeks out, I don't know where I'm at. It could go either way. Do you want to? I know we're going to be doing a big WrestleMania preview show, but just 2 weeks out, vibe checks. Who do we reckon is going to win? Nick, we'll start with you.
I think it's going to be CM Punk. I look at it. I look at it logistically. I go, World Heavyweight Championship. Look, them putting in the Night 2 main event, which it looks like they are, means that they value this belt more than they did a couple years ago, right? But I still feel like I look at the World Heavyweight Championship and I feel like someone that's got to have that belt is going to be on weekly TV, week in, week out. And Roman Reigns just isn't going to do that. So I feel like it has to go to CM Punk. And I love when Roman Reigns in the last couple of years is coming off these losses. We saw him win for 4 years straight. I feel like a more interesting Roman Reigns is him coming off a loss. How does he deal with that? Who does he go to help? Again, the delusional in me does The Rock come out? You get corporate Punk. You go Punk go across all his values. He sells out all his values just to beat Roman Reigns. Gosh. Roman and Rock at Saudi Mania. I'm so delusional. The Arsenal
fan. I think CM Punk wins. I'm going to stop calling it the World Heavyweight Championship. I'm just going to call it the Netflix Championship. That's why this title now is held at the same degree as the Undisputed Championship. But I think CM Punk wins for the reason that we need to get back to Seth Rollins and CM Punk. Seth Rollins himself said, before all of this happened with the Vision, that he would never allow CM Punk to be champion. So I feel like the logical step for Seth Rollins is to get that World Heavyweight Championship back off CM Punk, and that allows Bron Breakker to then feud with Seth Rollins for the world title.
You got long-term booking. Look, I'm just going to be me, and as a mark of this guy since the big dog days. I'm going with my tribal chief on this one, still to this day. But you mentioned the Usos. They dropped the tag belts, lost it to the Vision. Logan Paul, Austin Theory, new tag champions. No, let's start here. What are our thoughts on that new theme song for the Usos?
And they're trying to yeet with it as well.
Did not like it. I did not like it.
And the song's slower.
I mean, I got my Yeet shirt on, man. Yeah, I got my Yeet shirt on, man.
That song's a bit slower than Jay's song. So when he's trying to
this
hit
Def
the Yeet,
Rebel
it's like
ass beat.
A half,
man.
Like it's half the speed of what his old song was. So the Yeets are just like, friendly for the old timers out there. But, everyone out there just wanted to, get a nice little pop in that arena. They're kind of going at half pace. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of it. And I don't know why we had to change the Uso song. They had a song there. It's just they weren't using it because they were using Jay's song. Day one-ish.
Hey, my only thing is the only reason you take away the yeet is because the crowd loves to yeet. That to me goes, all right, we're going like full heel turn with the Usos. Nick, what were your thoughts on the theme song change?
Oh no, I hated the song. Look, actually, no, wait. I actually don't think the song is that bad, but I go with Tony. But they had Day One-ish. That was a track. That was a track.
Yeah.
That's why Jey Uso's song's so good now, because it literally basically is that song, just throwing in like his own mix to it. But I agree with you. I didn't think they were going to turn Jay heel for a while, because you had the crowd so involved with him and the yeet. Like, that's the young kids. Not that I don't love to yeet myself when I'm in the arena, I do. But like, the kids love it, and you also go, you can't just lose a white meat babyface just for the sake of it, just for a storyline. But I feel like it is getting to the point where if they took that song away from Jay and they're not planning to use it again, they don't want the crowd to yeet anymore. And I agree with you. I think that heel turn is coming. And like, even when you mentioned it in that feud with Roman, with almost Jay calling the shots, calling him Joe. When do you ever really hear people call him Joe, really?
Yeah.
I would love a Jay heel turn, but like you said, it's just got to be justified in storyline. I feel like any heel turn in general, when you're talking about pro wrestling, it's got to be justified. You know, when it comes off just for the sake of it, it doesn't come off logistically. But
And the dynamic is different as well. Like, Big Jim still kind of looks conflicted about the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's still kind of like,
he spoke to Punk before they went out a couple weeks ago as well.
Yeah.
But that always works when you do a tag team. And you don't know where they go with it. I remember the New Day it was a year and a bit ago now, where you're like, who's going to turn on who? And then you had both of them turn on Big A.
Yeah.
So, you know what? WWE still have stuff up their sleeve like that.
But in saying that, I mean, what are the New Day doing now? Or what has the New Day done since? You know, unfortunately, there's that concern as well. In this tag match, though, it wasn't just the Usos or the Vision. There was some brass knuckles involved. There was a megastar involved, LA Knight, and then also ISHO Speed. ISHO Speed was there, and he, as we we know, he's cursed, still cursed to this day. He hits LA Knight with the brass knuckles, inadvertently, it looked like, and then all of a sudden he's just posing with the Vision, with the new tag belts. What is Speed doing in WrestleMania? Let's be real. What is he doing there? You got any ideas, Nick?
Look, to be honest, I thought they were just going to go Usos and then the Vision for the tag belts at Mania. I thought that's the way they were going. And then once they put the titles on the line in Raw, I was like, okay, maybe is there a DQ or something? And then we get to that at Mania, and that's what seals the match. But now that the belt's flipped, Speed's involved, LA Knight doesn't really have a clear direction where he's going into Mania. We've seen Speed been training. We saw those videos with Randy Orton. Like, they are actually gunning for him to be in the ring. I think it's got to be a 3-on-3 at Mania.
3-on-3 Vision and Speed.
Sounds
against the Usos and LA Knight.
Yeah, I think that's
Sorry, I'm just...
Interesting.
I can't really get into that. I don't know why, but I think...
Damn!
Like, I've been saying for the last 4 or 5 months now how just tired and bored I am with the Vision. I just can't. You can't make me believe that there's still supposed to be something serious when you're throwing Speed in with them for like a novelty match at WrestleMania. And the worst part of this is that they're throwing LA Knight into that, who probably deserves a lot more right now. He probably deserves a singles match at Mania, like very high up on the card. It just seems like a bit of a disservice to him. So I'm not really for that. I'm actually not even really for Speed at Mania at all. I don't want the Vision on Mania at the moment. I want the Vision broken up. I don't want to see them with tag titles. I don't want to see them getting a Mania match. I don't want to see them getting these, like what was likely to be like viral spots over the internet because they've got ISHO Speed with them now. So yeah, it's just not for me. Like there's a point where, it's just too much sports entertainment, and I feel like it's well beyond that point.
Damn. You know what? I'd much rather see ISHO Speed at WrestleMania than Jelly Roll. If I could just put my 2 cents in there. Let's talk about new United States champion. Kind of out of nowhere. Sami Zayn defeats Carmelo Hayes. He's got a match confirmed at WrestleMania against Trick Williams. Let's start here. I do not need Sami Zayn as the United States champion. The Arsenal of the WWE. As much as I'd like to see Arsenal get some trophies, I do not need Sami Zayn being the United States champion. It seems so random and just last minute thrown together like, here, there you go. That's your WrestleMania match. I don't know if I'm rocking with this one. Nick, are you rocking with this?
Look, I like Sami Zayn. To be honest, I do, but I agree with you. I didn't think it needed him for the US Championship at Mania. No real story going into it. I think they've done this. Was Carmelo Hayes versus Trick Williams the original plan? Maybe. And I think maybe they've gone, do we save that for another year? Because that match, Trick versus Melo, that is a Mania level match, and it probably deserves more of a build than what this would have got just with the US title at this point. Like, I look at Trick and Melo, and they're not like this to this degree, right? But I look at them like it was like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens like 10 years ago. It felt like they came out of NXT together, and everyone knew their history, more history than Melo and Trick, right? But it felt like they had to really have a penultimate, like a monumental match. Felt like at Mania they needed a match like that, and then WWE kept kind of holding it back or using it at a different pay-per-view. But I think they've seen something like that now and go, Trick versus Melo with the history they've had in NXT, gotta save that for Mania, and it was probably too early to pull that card out just of yet. But I agree with you. I think they're just going like, what do we do with Sami Zayn?
Yeah.
We don't need Melo on the card just of yet. He's still young. Let's put because I think Sami Zayn missed out on 41 last year as well. And Trick Williams has been so hot since debuting in the main roster, so they're like, okay, Trick's got to be on there. I don't know. I agree with you. I didn't think it really needed it, but I can see why.
I have a feeling I know what you're going to say, Tony Free, in regards to all this.
Very random.
Let's have it. What were your thoughts on this happening?
I actually like that they've picked Sami Zayn to have this spot over Trick. Like they've had like these little. It's kind of like. Well, I think it's good for like Sami's character arc that he's kind of a little bit jaded about this new kid on the block, and the narrative around Sami at the moment is that he needs to start doing things differently to win the World Heavyweight Championship or to win the world title. So he probably needs to be that jaded old vet who has it in for these young guys that are, hot and fresh and, making an absolute impact as soon as they come in. And, Sami's kind of being left behind in all of this, and he has been. Like, let's think about it. Over the last 4 months, what's Sami really been doing? He had a world title match at Royal Rumble. He lost again. Like, he's lost to Drew McIntyre 12 times in a row.
Being a damn pest.
So, like, things weren't really happening for Sami Zayn, and he has to do something different. Now that he's being put up against one of, like the hottest new faces in WWE, I feel like it's a perfect opportunity for them to run Sami Zayn leaning into more of like a heel at the moment. I can't see him winning a world championship as a face. He needs to start doing it as like a deceiving, conceitful, dastardly kind of guy. As, Randy Orton's been kind of telling him, as he's kind of seen, that Cody Rhodes can kind of tap into those little things in order to get what he wants. That's what Sami Zayn now has to do, and he might have to do it against someone like Trick Williams, who's come in and seems to have just gotten a really good, clean ride since he's come into the main roster. So I'm for it, although it did feel very rushed and random.
Look, I'll put a bow on this, but all valid points. My biggest issue with this, just to wrap up on this, is that you cannot tell me for the last year, this whole yarn of Sami Zayn, you're never going to be world champion. You'll never be world champion. Only to then get to 2 weeks before WrestleMania, and they've gone, have the United States belt. That is a whole year of us spinning this yarn that, like, you'll never win the big one. You're never going to be world champion. Rah, 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 rah. They've just told us, yeah, no, that's never going to happen. Here's the United States belt. Like, I just thought it was just like, come on, man. You don't waste my time thinking, geeing myself up, my faith in Sami Zayn that it would get to like a big moment at this year's WrestleMania. And just to give us this, oh man, come on, bro. Like,
I just think the fans have kind of lost that love for Sami Zayn. Like,
it's the storytelling, man.
I know, and I agree with Tony. I feel like now if he wins the title, you kind of got to do it as a heel. But it's just so annoying because he has so much Daniel Bryan in him that a couple years ago, if the timing was right, you would have got a massive pop at Mania. And I think the issue with that was that those 2 years ago, Roman held both belts. So you couldn't use a world title to do that. And then I think his time's passed now. And I don't know. It's so hard for Sami Zayn, but I agree with Tony.
Yeah, he should have won it at the Chamber in
2 years
Montreal.
ago, would have been mad if he did it as a face. The pop would have been insane. I just feel for Sami. That would have been mad.
Yeah, it would have been crazy. You know what this is? It's like, in my mind, I'm envisioning Sami Zayn fans and then the handshake emoji Arsenal fans. Like, that's the exact same thing in my head.
Never a title.
All right, time for my favorite segment the last 3 weeks or however long we've been doing this. So, WrestleMania tier ranking. All right, we are, maybe eight WrestleManias deep, which is, we still, in 2 weeks, we've got a lot to catch up on. All right, we still got 41 of these things to go through. Next up, we've been doing this tier ranking. We're ranking it from the top, which is goated, all the way down to flop. And I actually posted on our social media at Graps Yaps which WrestleManias we're ranking this week. So we've got WrestleMania 3, WrestleMania 17, 39, 29, and 35. Let's just get stuck into it. Okay, now let's start with WrestleMania 3 because this year at the Hall of Fame, Hogan slamming Andre the Giant is getting an award for the immortal moment at the Hall of Fame. This has to be a new. I don't know did they do this last year? I cannot remember, but they did.
Bret Hart and Stone Cold.
That's right.
Yeah.
So this match is that moment. Sorry, is getting an award at the Hall of Fame. Also at WrestleMania 3, you get Ricky Steamboat against Randy Savage. I think I'm just going to say it here. I'm going to set the tone, and you guys can tell me whether I'm right or wrong. I think this goes in goated. I think WrestleMania 3 is a goated WrestleMania. What do we, Nick, you're surprised.
Yeah.
Go.
I feel like goated, goated, I know there's been over 40 WrestleManias, so there's a lot, right? But I feel like you can only have like 3 in there. And I don't know if I'd have WrestleMania 3 in there. Because there's another one on this list that I look at and I go, I would die to watch that live, right?
Where are you thinking then? Is it
still solid?
Solid?
That Ricky the Steamboat match. That is one of the most iconic matches in wrestling history.
Yeah.
Look, it's still a great WrestleMania from head to toe.
Yeah, I'm with Nick. I think it's a solid WrestleMania.
I think you're overshooting it.
Comparing it to what I think
Free?
deserves to be goated, especially in today's list that we're going to throw out there.
Look, all right. Well, look, I don't think it goes below solid. So I think it was either goated or solid. 2 against 1. We'll chuck it in solid right now. Let's move to WrestleMania 17. All right.
Yes.
This one, I think we can all agree, right? This is goated. True?
Number 1.
One's up, man. I mean, you got Rock versus Austin, the second match between them. You've got Shane and Vince. You've got TLC, the Hardys, Dudleys, Edge, and Christian. I mean, just off those 3 matches alone, it can't be anything else, right?
That's probably WrestleMania 17 has to be from bottom to top the best card WrestleMania history.
It's famously the best.
Also the best
like everyone's
video with the Rock.
Everyone's like, yeah, that's the
Austin
best
with the
My
Way.
It has to be goated.
Limp Bizkit, the best goat. That's the goat of all video promos ever.
Oh, hey, you know what we haven't really thought about is the songs associated with the WrestleManias. That's something we need to think about when we do this tier ranking. But yeah, My Way, Limp Bizkit, one of the best promo packages, easy goated. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one. This is a 2-nighter, WrestleMania 39. I mean, we had Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns as the main event of night 2. You had Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens against the Usos, main event night 1. Seth Rollins, Logan Paul, Brock Lesnar, Omos.
This is pretty good.
Rhea Ripley, Charlotte.
It's also...
I mean,
it's a pretty good WrestleMania.
Yeah? What are your thoughts, Nick?
No, I enjoyed... Sorry to kick off, Tony, but I thought WrestleMania 39 was a pretty solid Mania. But if I remember right, that WrestleMania Night 2, probably up until the Roman match, I think like every single person that kind of should have won didn't win. Like, if I remember right, Edge had beaten Finn Balor Demon Balor inside Hell in a Cell, that was a crazy decision. Not that the matches themselves weren't great, but
You reckon the Miz should have been in the Snoop Dogg?
okay, yeah, like things like that. I didn't even think of that. No, WrestleMania 39 was great. Everyone loves the Weeknd Less Than Zero song with that WrestleMania as well.
Bro.
People talk about songs.
Great song.
Well. But one of the matches you said they've not under. I don't think people see it's underrated, but they don't talk about it enough. Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley, banger. Like you talk about women's matches in WrestleMania history, could be a top 2 or top 3 match of all time. And look, I think at the time when Roman won, I was shocked. I was very shocked when Roman won that match. But in hindsight, it gave us a great WrestleMania 40 main event. Both nights for 40 it led in the end. So, yeah, no, I think it's solid 39. But you still have things like Austin Theory and John Cena on there. Could have done more.
There's also Ray against Dom.
Okay, that's
Bad
great.
Bunny gets involved.
Yeah, that was great.
Come on, man. Tony Free. We're
Hey,
like,
this is,
we're
Brock,
with
though?
WrestleMania 39 is
Come
the
on,
very last Vince McMahon WrestleMania. You know, so that's, and it explains. Yeah, it explains
True.
explains a lot of it.
True.
They say he booked
So
the whole night.
I think there was like there were like some of the spots there, like as you
Really?
mentioned,
Yeah.
like Charlotte, Rhea, Sami and Kevin against the Usos. Obviously Roman versus Cody. Very, very, very like elite. Yeah, like there was some really
There's
like
the
really good matches on
Intercontinental
there.
triple
It's
threat.
probably as close to goated as you'll get, but I think it just
forget
falls
about
into the
that.
solid tier.
Oh, don't piss me off. Don't piss me off. You guys are tripping. I
don't know, man.
39 is so goated. 39 is so goated. Yes, you spoke about the foresight, the aftermath of Cody Rhodes losing that match. We don't get
Bro, we don't get 40 WrestleManias if there isn't
39
one
doesn't
WrestleMania.
happen. You guys are tripping, man. Less than 0? You're telling me that's just solid? Shut up. No, you're not hearing me, man. What the hell?
Do you know what I reckon?
You're going to tell me that 18 deserves to be good, but 39 doesn't.
I don't know. Do you know what hurts 39? And I'm going to go
What?
back to it. I think we all thought The Rock was going to be in the main event of 39. I think that's what kills me. That's what the Bloodline story peaked then. It peaked. It needed Rock and Roman at that year's Mania. I feel like it did.
Actually, okay, yeah,
It needed at that year's Mania. And then you save the Cody, finishing my story, yada yada. Save that for 40 without losing the first time, but maybe just make his road to 40 hell, and then you have him win at 40. Or you do 40 and then push it to 41. But I feel like where the Bloodline story was, it needed The Rock. Like if you were going to have Sami not win at the Chamber,
Damn,
the Cody
like
story
that.
was another story outside of the Bloodline history, right? And not that Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in the tag match wasn't great. It was a great match. And I forgot about that triple threat with Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew. Banger.
Tough match.
Look, I think it's a top-end solid, especially for the modern era. You've got to respect it. But I felt like where the Bloodline story was at that point, you needed the Rock and Roman, man. And I think that's what stuffed up everything from now on.
Hey, man. I'm going to clip this because I need some backup.
Hey, was this
man. There's no way
WrestleMania
that you
at
guys-
Philadelphia?
Look, I'll put it in there.
Was it a Philly?
Because I'm outnumbered again. But reluctantly
it was
putting
too.
39.
That's right.
Nah, this was in Hollywood.
So far.
SoFi, that's right, yeah. The stage was dope as well. The stage
was goated. You're right.
Okay, see, wait, what did you say? What
Okay.
did you say? You said goated?
Best WrestleMania stage of all time. I think Roman's entrance at that Mania could be the best WrestleMania entrance as well. I love that. Just with the is it the organ? Oh my god.
Nah, you go. But it's not good. It's not good enough to be goated, huh?
Because it's not the final story, right? I think
Listen, man.
Yeah.
Hey,
I think
come on, man, don't piss me off, man.
if Cody won that main
you guys
event,
are gonna do me like
it
this.
would have been good.
But look, we'll see what the people say.
It was a
Let's
flat
move
ending.
on.
it was the
no,
flat
I
ending.
feel like in hindsight,
Oh,
that
I
almost
like
adds to why
Hey,
it
we're
should
judging-
be goated.
We're
Because
just
it
judging
built
one WrestleMania
another
at a
year
time.
of storyline, and we all
Taking
got
it
around
just
Cody
on those
Rhodes to
2
win
nights
it, you know what
alone,
I
nothing
mean?
else.
I'm getting rage baited. I can't believe I'm getting rage baited on my own podcast, man. What the hell's going on? All right. WrestleMania 29. Let's rank this one. You have Rock versus John Cena 2 in the main event. CM Punk up against The Undertaker. The Shield have their first WrestleMania match, but you also have Fandango up against Chris Jericho. This one's in New York, New Jersey, I believe. What are our thoughts? Tony Free, we'll start with you.
There's a lot of things that piss me off about this WrestleMania now that I'm thinking about it.
In the tier list.
As a big CM Punk fan. So this one for me, I'll say it's decent.
Decent. Okay, now is that?
Well, I mean, we're getting Rock and Cena.
You're telling me there's good, there's highlights and there's lowlights.
Before they branded it as once in a lifetime, so we're getting once in a lifetime happening again, and yeah, Punk going up against the Streak when
twice
really Punk should have been main eventing either this Mania or the year before. Yeah, there was a lot of things I didn't like. Fandango, I was never really a big Fandango guy. I didn't really care for that match with Jericho. For me, it's decent.
Decent. Nick Stav, your thoughts?
Look, I would have it in decent as well because, like you said, Undertaker Punk was great. You probably didn't need Rock and Cena for the second time. I think everyone wanted Rock, Cena, and Punk as a triple threat. That would have been a great story. Should have gone down that way. But how can we have WrestleMania 40 on the same level as WrestleMania 29?
Here we go.
I feel like that generation of probably WrestleMania 27 to about WrestleMania, could you even go as far as 34, I'd probably say, maybe even 35. They weren't dark times, but they were patchy at best. Fandango beat Chris Jericho. We're not just saying we're not talking about Chris Jericho fought Fandango on the card. Fandango beat Chris Jericho. I think we had the
was that his debut match as well?
We had the Funkadactyls on this card, didn't we? Or no? Was that 29?
Yeah, it was just before the main event.
Come on, man. We got that in decent. It's not it happened, but it's also I can't sit there even have WrestleMania 25 and decent on the same level as 29.
Wait, no, because you know where I would put this? I would put this in It Happened. This is an It Happened WrestleMania. Okay. That's where I stand with it. Obviously, I think the only highlight in this card, right, as I'm looking at it, is The Undertaker versus CM Punk. But then you have Mark Henry defeating Ryback for some reason.
Who did Triple H on this card? It wasn't Brock, was it?
Triple H and Brock. And Triple H
won. Oh, yeah, this is It Happened. Yeah, this is It Happened. Yeah.
The only other good thing about this WrestleMania, or maybe actually, now that I said it, it's crazy, was the song, which was Coming Home, but it was unfortunately by Diddy. So this has to be It Happened. This has to be It Happened.
I agree.
We are chucking it's an It Happened WrestleMania.
I agree.
All right. 29 is there. All right, last one before we go. WrestleMania 35. This one was, again, in New Jersey, I want to say. Yeah, New Jersey. We started off with Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. This is, again, also we mentioned Alexa Bliss and Hulk Hogan hosting the show. And the main event was the women's triple threat match. The first all-female main event at WrestleMania. Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Ronda Rousey. How do we feel about this one? Oh, and of course, sorry, how could I forget? Kofi Mania. This is Kofi Mania as well.
It was patchy WrestleMania 35 as well. Because you're saying
could this be flop?
Flop.
Yeah, these are dark times as well. Very dark times.
You reckon 35 is worse than 32? No way. They were dark. 2019 was a bad year, but I thought WrestleMania 35 was probably the not highlight, but you had decent storylines going into it. Kofi Mania was a good storyline.
Kofi Mania was a highlight.
Yeah, that sure. SmackDown tag gauntlet going into it. Oh, peak. What you know about that?
Great.
Oh, what you know about that? Even heel Daniel Bryan was alright as well. The eco-friendly title was a little bit of a stretch, but he was still solid as well. Batista Triple H was a good storyline. I thought,
the match? No.
The storyline was good.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. The storyline.
Yeah.
But the
Okay.
match,
Yeah. Fair. Yeah.
The match.
Old Batista. Okay. Don't disrespect my boy. Blue Batista. Yeah. And then look, say what you want to say about how the women's main event ended with the botchy ending. What you cannot deny, what I will always say, is that going into WrestleMania 35, Becky Lynch was the most over person on that roster. Male or female, she was the most over person on that roster, and I think she did deserve to main event WrestleMania that year. Is it the back end of it happened? I just can't sit there with chest and have WrestleMania 32 above 35. WrestleMania 32, outside of Shane McMahon off the Hell in a Cell, is a gutter WrestleMania.
Hey, Tony Free, before I get to your thoughts, I just want to add in just quickly that this is Kurt Angle's retirement match against Baron Corbin. So that is why it could be the first flop.
This is a very dark time to be watching WWE. It's pretty much why AEW exists. This is going into a flop tier for me. Like you said, Angle, Corbin, the botched ending to the main event. Ronda Rousey, just having Ronda Rousey in the main event tells you all you need to know. This was a flop WrestleMania.
Yes.
Oh, there was a lot of matches.
I think it was the longest matches as well of all time. I'm pretty sure it was the longest. That's why they turned it into 2 nights.
Well, 36 was going to be the first 2-night one, so yeah.
John Cena came out as Thugonomics against Elias. Well, not against Elias.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
What do you know about Miz versus Shane McMahon as well? That was a 2
Hey, I'm looking at the rating. Apparently, Meltzer gave it a 1.75 stars. So I mean, but we're not basing that off that. But from what I remember of that match, it was actually not bad. It wasn't that bad.
No, you can't have it in flop. I just thought 32 was so gutter.
Really?
I thought 32.
You can't?
Roman versus Triple H main event. That was horrible.
So you would shift down 32 to flop, and you would put 35 in.
Because I look at 32. IC title ladder match was alright, but it should have been Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. Dean Ambrose versus Brock Lesnar was trash, given what it should have been. Shane McMahon Undertaker was probably the best thing to come out of that, outside of probably the triple threat of Becky, Sasha, and Charlotte. Then what else was on that card? Triple H, Roman. That was horrible. I don't know, you said you didn't mind the Big Dog. The Big Dog era was bad. Was bad.
I'm a Roman Reigns mark, okay? Let me just say that.
And then you also got to think who was injured on that WrestleMania. Randy was injured that Mania. Seth was injured that Mania.
Seth was injured as well.
John Cena
low-key, yeah.
Yeah, but he came out. And then even that, they buried the Wyatt family in that segment. Like, looking at Bray Wyatt when he should... Wyatt didn't have a match on that card.
The Rock faced Eric Rowan.
Oh my God, bro.
Okay, look, I hear the argument you're making for 32. But... Again, it's 2 against 1. Yeah, 35 is a flop WrestleMania. 35 is a... Hey, man. All right, that's where we're at. And look, we'll see what people say, man. You know, I'll post this and we'll see what the people say. But at this stage, this is what it's looking like. All right, let us know what you guys think at Graps and Yaps on social media. All right, shall we get out of here? Let's do it. That is it for another episode of Graps and Yaps. Thank you for joining us. Big thank you to the Greek Nightmare, Nick Stav, for tapping in with us. Dude, I can't believe, that WrestleMania tier list got a little bit heated, but I'm glad you were here for it. I'm glad we got to hear your thoughts. 2 weeks away from WrestleMania. Are you excited? Obviously, we've spoken about the card itself, but I mean, you got any plans lined up? What you got cooking? How do you watch WrestleMania?
Oh man, this year WrestleMania I'll be at home watching it. Last year I was in Vegas there. Yeah, so I thought WrestleMania
you know what?
was underrated.
Just quickly, because you were actually at 41 and we just did the tier list. Before we get there, where would you put 41 in the tier list?
I would throw it in decent. I personally would throw it in decent. I'm always of that mindset where I kind of prefer the build to Mania, then just have like a mad match on Mania, and then it kind of like cancels it out. That WrestleMania 41 main event, night 1, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns. The storyline going into it was great. The match itself was a 5-star classic. And then you had the storyline aspect of Paul Heyman turning on both Punk and Roman. And at the time you thought maybe they're just doing it for a cheap pop. And then the night after you got the Vision starting. Yes, the Vision. What happened with the Vision? But that was unbelievable. I thought the Cena-Cody build, I thought personally was a great build. For where we thought it was going to head. It was just that we all thought Cena's retiring. He's getting desperate for number 17. There's only one way he can do it. Sell his soul to the final boss who can snap his fingers and give him the title to become the greatest of all time. And it doesn't matter how good you are. When your time is up, when you got a back against your wall, you will do some dirty things as a human being. And even John Cena would do that. And then Travis Scott came out instead of The Rock. So they ruined it for that. And the match itself was pretty gutter as well. So I'm happy to put it in decent. But Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Bianca Belair, banging match as well.
That was a huge
LA
one.
Knight, great match.
Yeah.
You had
Dom Mysterio winning the IC belt.
Underrated, that fatal four-way.
We're going to write this one down.
Yeah.
We're going to add to the notes under 41.
But it's overhated. It's overhated just for the ending. That's
all
what I
right.
think of it. Yeah.
Okay, we'll take that. And look, every time we have a guest on, we ask them for one long-term prediction. So if you've got one, it could be as ridiculous, as delusional as you want it to be, or it could be, some proper. If you've got one, let us know. We'll add it to the table. What is a long-term prediction from Nick Stav?
Okay, I'll go long-term. I heard Tony talking about how you needed it to be Seth and Punk for the belt. For me, what needs to happen long-term, and it doesn't matter if it's next year's Mania or the Mania after, we need the Night 2 main event. It has to be Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. That is, for me, my favourite feud of the last decade. Roman Reigns still hasn't beaten Seth Rollins I believe, on a pay-per-view or in a high-stakes match.
I think so.
Since he betrayed him for the Shield. That is a 10-plus year storyline just sitting there on the table. Roman Reigns' 4-year title reign came to an end because he chose to use that anguish on Seth Rollins taking the chair instead of using it on Cody. Seth effed him over at WrestleMania 41 main event. Roman Reigns needs that payback in the main event of WrestleMania. Whether it's next year's main event of Mania or 2 years down the line, all I know is that I will be seeded for Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania.
All right, it's getting added to the list. Look, man, thank you again for jumping on. You want to plug yourself? Where can we find where can we find your content?
Nick Stav, Instagram, TikTok, across socials, Twitch as well. If you want to see someone screaming at FIFA and smashing up the streaming setup behind me. But no, I appreciate you guys having me on. I love yapping about wrestling. So
Man, I was going to kick back, eat some chalky eggs,
Appreciate
some
you,
hot cross
bro.
buns.
Tony Free, you got anything coming up this
Going to
weekend?
enjoy the extra couple of days off. So, ready to just enjoy that and maybe put on a few kilos over this weekend.
Hey, man, that's not a bad idea. Look, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.